When thinking about ghosts, we can both ask the question, why do we believe in them? Or why some people believe in them? And at what point or when in time did we start believing in ghosts? So if you are someone who doesn't really believe in them, then your answer would be these are just illusions of the mind. But what happens if you actually have experienced something that is not from this world? If you know someone who's told you about some experiences, some ghostly experiences, then we're talking about something else. In any case, whatever it is that we are talking about, we talk about ghosts regularly. And when we look back in history, this is something that we can find throughout many, many cultures. And what we find is that it's actually precisely literature where all these ghosts are told, the stories of the ghosts, but also by looking at the story of these ghosts in literature, we learn a lot more things. So today, in episode 7 of Alice in Gothic Land, in the section You Are Gothic But You Don't Know It, the ghost as a metaphor that shapes your identity, we are going to talk about why do we believe in ghosts? When did all that started? I'm going to take you back to the etymology of some of the vocabulary that we use to describe ghosts. And from then on, you're going to realize a lot more than you initially thought. So if you're ready, this episode, my friend, is for you. Hello Gothic friend, this is Alice and you are in Gothic Land. Welcome again to this section, another week of You Are Gothic But You Don't Know It, episode 7 today. And today I want to talk to you about why do we believe in ghosts. I want to take you through this journey to answer this question, because answering this question is going to help us talk about our identity when we get to that. Because in this series I want to really explain. I want to really take you down the rabbit hole. I want you to see back to the origin of the word of ghost and other words connected to ghosts. And I want to show you how to use your critical thinking to actually start investigating on your own account and the things that you're going to find out. But before we go any further, before we start giving you all the details, remember that I can help you, if you have a project and you need some guidance among all the shadows. I can be your light at the end of the tunnel. I can help you with your dissertations. I can help you with your presentations, with your projects, with anything, with any idea of you writing a book. I can help you with all those things because as well as you, I am also a writer, I'm a confidence builder and project auditor. I can help you sell your products, as I said before. I help you through your critical thinking, find all those points, all those pain points that that you're struggling with when doing your project. So you just have to visit me in gothicalice.com and just get yourself there and book a time. It's free, the first free call. You can talk to me and then we can see if we're a good fit, if we're a good match, and if I can actually help you. Remember that we are going to be looking into all your projects through the Gothic lens, but it's a very realistic approach as well. So it just, use the Gothic to find out more about all those pain points. Anyway, so today we're gonna be trying to, I'm gonna help you go through this process or this path where I'm going to try to answer why we believe in ghosts and when did we start believing in ghosts, because they go hand in hand. And to do that, that, and to do that, I'm going to start giving you some etymological definitions, because you know, my friend, I love etymology. I love giving you all the insights, everything that people sometimes don't go into. By knowing about the vocabulary and where it comes from, we can start seeing when this vocabulary is started taking shape in people's minds. It could be that the vocabulary was already there a long time or long before they were actually written down on paper, on texts, and that's when we have the recollection. But it's very interesting to see all those areas when it was actually, the vocabulary was actually coined, and maybe through other elements that we're going to see today, this vocabulary was already there. So why do we believe in ghosts? This seems a very straightforward question. However, when you want to find answers to this question, you are not going to find many things out there. You have to really dig down and start pulling the strings. Why am I saying that? If you look for why do we believe in ghosts, all you're going to get is a bunch of articles talking about appearances, ghosts, folklore, which, hang on a minute, it's all well and good, but it's not really what we want to know here. We want to know, when did we start believing in ghosts, which is why we're going to get the answers to why do we even believe in them. So the when and the why are going to go hand in hand, and these are two questions of the critical thinking. So what I have actually done is, based on my own research on storytelling, I'm going to give you some references. I'm going to bring a lot of authors and other people who have already investigated the ghost like I have, or even more in depth. And we're going to step out a little bit from the Gothic space per se, because we need to take a couple of steps back and look at history of humanity, because by looking back into the history of humanity, we're going to see how everything developed and evolved to what we find from the Gothic times, from Victorian times, early Gothic, all that period that we are always talking about. So this is what we're going to look at next. So what I'm going to do is tell you my idea after everything I have read and researched. I'm going to give you the 6 main points why I think that we need to believe in ghosts. And that is as follows. First, since humans realized they perished, the figure of the ghost gave them comfort to stay connected with their loved ones. Therefore, we see that there is a necessity built inside our brains. So the stories told around the campfires at night could trigger shadows and other night entities. Another aspect is that the religious beliefs of a tribe or a group shaped also the perception of these entities. That could go hand in hand with the unexplainable noises, sensations, smells, or anything that doesn't quite have a logical explanation, and that belongs to the ghostly or supernatural. And the last point is that people with certain sensibilities to energies have always existed in the form of druids, shamans, or witches. So to prove all my 6 points and these theories that are not uniquely mine, is something that I believed in already. But then as I was doing research, I found that these points actually had an argument and there was research behind that. What I want to do now is take you through the definitions of different vocabulary connected to not just ghost, but connected to the ghost. And that goes like this. It's a bit difficult, but I've tried to help you with some explanations, right? So what is a ghost? A ghost is a ghost soul or spirit in Old English. Is a disembodied spirit in the 14th century. Also in the West Germanic we find Geister, Goisdos, which has been connected with Sanskrit, hedas, which means anger, and the presumed base Gois, guys, with the Old Norse Geisa, meaning rage. From the Goth we also have Usgeishan, Usgeisman, which means terrify. So the spelling with GH is first recorded in Caxton's works, and is there probably due to Flemish geest, which became established late in the 16th century. All these definitions are taken from the Oxford Dictionary, which I have here. I always like to show you my sources. So this is a dictionary where it's taken from, yes, the massive big boy here. We have the Oxford Dictionary of English Etymology. If you're interested in this kind of research and vocabulary and you're a freak like me, then you will love this book. It has a lot of entries, and as you can see, some vocabulary. The newest vocabulary is not here because there are other things, but this is the book that I use for all the vocabulary. Okay, right, so let's move on to our next word. For those who don't know who William Caxton was, he lived between 1422 1491, and as per Wikipedia, he was an English merchant, diplomat and writer. He is thought to be the first person to introduce a printing press into England, very interesting fact, in 1476, and as a printer was the first English retailer of printed books. So after this very interesting fact, we're going to move on now to our next slide and etymological definition of spirit. So the spirit is a breath of life, is the vital principle, intelligent, incorporeal being for the 13th century. It was immaterial element of a human being, vital power in the 14th century. Any of our four substances so named, four of the alchemists in 14th century, and here we have Chaucer. And for those who don't know, Chaucer was also a medieval writer, and we have a lot of work from Chaucer. Liquid of the nature of an essence in 17th century, Anglo-Norman spirit, aphatic of spirit, Old French esprit, in Spanish espíritu, in Latin spiritus, breathing, meaning breathing, breath, air, life, soul, pride, courage, in Christian use, incorporeal being. But then, as I'm looking into these ghosts definitions, then I realize also that we cannot go without defining soul. So what is the soul as per the etymological dictionary? So for soul we have that it's a soul life, animate existence, spiritual or emotional part of man. It's a disembodied spirit of a man in Old English, vital principle in the 14th century, and the essential part of something of the body in the 16th century. From the Greek aiolos, we have that aiolos meaning quick moving or easily moved, saiwolos, the soul being primitively conceived as a fleeting or fleeting thing, and for fleeting we understand lasting for a very short time. I promise you that all these etymological description right now will make sense in the next few sessions, because of if we understand the vocabulary, we understand why these words meant all this at that time and how they have evolved. We're going to understand a lot of the essays and a lot of the research that came after that. So let's continue with a couple more. The next word in our list is a spectre. And for the spectre, we have apparition, phantom from the 17th century. In French, we have a spectre, or Latin spectrum, whence also a spectrum or a spectre. It also means colored band into which a beam of light is decomposed. Then the next and the last one I want to talk about today, because it came in the oldest definitions, is the word phantom. So what is a phantom? A phantom is an illusion, deception in the 13th century. We also find that in Cursor Mundi, which I'll tell you about what it is now, meaning apparition, a spectre in the 14th century, mental illusion, this is very important, dream image, 16th century, appearance without substance in the 17th century. And for those who do not know, the Cursor Mundi, or Overrunner of the World, is an early, again, Wikipedia is very useful sometimes, it's an early 14th century religious poem written in Middle English that presents an extensive retelling of the history of Christianity from the creation to the doomsday. So you can see here how much information now we have. it's super interesting and it's very important, all this vocabulary, to actually go to the next part of the video. So in order now to move on to the next step, which is to be the origins of the word, or the concept of ghost, not the word. Now we have the words, and then we're going to see how they are going to be used in different contexts as well. So I think it's very important and necessary that now we move on to the when, and to find this evidence of the first texts, literary text, because it's what we do here, literature, and we look at all the different parts and how literature, how everything that goes from our everyday lives fits in literature. And then you're going to see there how all this vocabulary, spirit, the spectre, ghost, actually makes sense in this context. So in order to do that, the first thing I want to do is make reference to an article by Livia Gershon. This is very interesting because it's a very new, very recent finding. It's from an article written last year in October. And this article is called The 3,500-year-old Babylonian tablet may contain earliest known depiction of a ghost. So this is what we have here right now. So we have this Babylonian tablet dated 1500 BCE. It's a tablet that depicts a male ghost being led back to the afterlife. And the curator Irving Finkel says that you can actually find his video inside this article written by Livia Gershon. What we can see is what she calls a depiction of a ghost on a tablet made in ancient Babylon, and it seems to be the first depiction of the ghost. Obviously, this is a clay tablet, and it's part of a guide to exorcising ghosts held in the collections of the British Museum, and this is what is being reported by Dalia Albert for The Observer. If you read the whole article, it's wonderful, because as well as the article and the findings that around this tablet, but you can also have access to a video, another YouTube video, where the curator actually talks about the beliefs of the ghost in the Mesopotamian, in the Babylonian times. And it is very interesting to see the social classes, how the rituals for the ghosts, and for the ghosts to be in peace and not to come back, how they could be different between the rich people and the poorer people, and that's something we're going to talk about in the end as a summary for you to see how much we can learn from that. So this is one of the references I wanted to make. So this is not the only evidence that we have about ghostly apparitions in this format. I mean, this tablet is really, really small. And if you watch the video, it will explain to you, in the article, it explains to you that actually it could go without noticing. So it's very interesting. But another reference I want to make right now is the fact that, I'm quoting now a writer, Chris J. Mitchell, he tells us something very interesting in his article, The Origins of Ghosts and Famous Accounts in Literature. What he actually tells us in this article, he mentions Oresteia, the Oresteia, which it was a trilogy of Greek tragedies to talk about ghosts and to talk about death. In these themes of murder, revenge, and justice is where we find the ghost of Clytemnestra, who seeks justice for the son who actually murdered her. And what we have here is one of the first appearances of a ghost in literature. And what we can see here is the ancient Greek beliefs about life, death, and the crossing of the spirits to the world of the dead, from the living to the dead, or if you prefer, the other world. So these findings are very, very interesting for me, because we are not just learning that humanity is confirming that theory, that humanity already believed in ghosts, probably very much at the start of civilizations or communities or the existence of humans. That was very integrated almost straight away. As soon as someone died, Then there was this awareness of what happened to the body, and probably something that we cannot still say exactly when that happened, when that click in the brain actually happened. But what we can actually see through these texts and through this evidence is that this Babylonian tablet that I keep calling Mesopotamian, this Babylonian tablet is and from the Greek drama plays are different things, which is what we're going to see now. So on the one hand, we have that with the tablet, the ghosts or ghosts were part of people's lives. Sometimes they needed help from the living to move on. We also learned that some illnesses were believed to be caused by evil spirits while sleeping. And we can learn about what things and objects were used in the rituals. That is very important in the case of the tablet, because we call that literature as well. Well, at the moment that we have something written, we have literature. It's just that in this case we don't have, we have the oral explanation of the tablet, but in the written we only have the images. So it's a form of communication, but it's not quite the literary way that we will be talking about here. The next thing that we learn from this initial, now yes, literary form of announcing or talking about the ghosts is that in the Greek theater, it's interesting to see how people's souls could have been wronged through murder, and that's what we see in the Greek theater. Also, we see that the theater is not just for a normal play, it's also a place to expose the daily worries. In that sense, what we could see is that ghosts could also appear in comedy, not just in drama like we normally think. So this is one of the things I always talk about. But also what we can learn is that these ways of explaining and talking about the daily lives is also seen in the drama, in the theater. But the routines, the social structure, and everything that had to do with their daily lives. So as you can see, these are some of the things that we can learn from whatever is there already written and the findings. And the next step now would be to see how these ghosts and what do they actually tell us and what is their role, which is a little bit what I was telling you at the beginning of the episode 6. So the next step now would be to continue talking about the ghost as a social figure, but which is something that I don't want to do today. I want us to leave you here with all this information that I've given you about the etymology of the vocabulary, thinking about why do we believe in ghosts and when did we start believing in ghosts. But from next day and then moving into the sociological and literary spaces, we'll start talking about the medieval ghost stories that I told you about last day, Andrew Jones. And there's something very interesting that he says in this book, and he says in some of these well, no, actually in the book, he says the following sentence, and I want to leave you with that. He says that ghosts rebalance cultural, historical, and personal stories, which can help correct history. So this is what we're going to be looking at next day. From next day, we're going to be talking more into the social side that goes from a sociological point of view. That will help us expand a little bit more on what we've seen today, what I've told you today. And for today, I just want you to start thinking about this. Have you ever considered any of these questions? Have you ever thought, why do we even believe? Are you a believer? Are you not a believer? Why don't you tell me in the comments and let me know what you think about ghosts in general. And also remember that before we go, remember to like, to subscribe, to share, to comment below, and to follow me. I'm here to help you, not just to entertain you, but also to help you know more about all things Gothic. You can also find me on Medium, Ko-fi, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where I tell you a lot of other things about the Gothic, not just about ghosts, but I tell you about all the things such as I help people come out with their worries and to work on their fears, depending if they have a project or they have a dissertation. So that's me. This is what I do. I'm Alice. If you have a project and you need some guidance among all the shadows, then I can be your light at the end of the tunnel. Remember, I am a writer, a confidence builder, a project auditor, and that means that I can help you sell products, your services, prepare your business presentations, even if you have something spoken and you need some confidence building, any lessons, anything that requires your critical thinking and your communication skills. This is me, this is where I can help you. So together we'll find your pain points and we'll work on a plan. You have some downloads there, my friends. You can just go to gothicalice.com and you will find from literary downloads with the literary one actually is the one with more information, because it's an hour and a bit lesson with the slides, with a lot of content. But you have other downloadables that are a little bit shorter and for different purposes. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video. As you've seen, I'm including more visuals because I think it's important also to have all these images and all this video with you while we are doing all these bullet points. A little bit like a lesson, is in between mini lessons and mini videos. Anyway, I hope you have a lot of fun. And remember to follow, subscribe, share, and donate if you like the content, if you think it's helping you, if you think the downloads are helping you. Go to my Ko-fi page where you can actually donate. When you donate, you're helping me and other collaborators of the program, of this series in other spaces of Alice in Gothic Land. You are helping us continue creating content. And also because I want to get myself a bigger tablet. Well, I don't have a tablet. I need a tablet to write my book, and if I don't write my book, you won't be able to read it. So if you go to Ko-fi, you're going to see the process of writing my book, because Ko-fi is my workshop, but also there you can donate to help me out to help you at the end of the day. That's what we do. Anyway, so I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a lovely week and be very Gothic, my friend. Start thinking about your ghosts. See you very soon. See you next week. Take care. Bye bye.